The night was darker than usual, the sky heavy with storm clouds. The river roared like a beast, swollen by endless rain. Thunder cracked, lightning flashed across the valley, and the small wooden bridge shook under the weight of water rushing. Below, a man named Daniel was walking home from a long day of work, his boots sinking in the mud with every step. He was tired, hungry, and soaked to the skin. He only wanted warmth, food, and sleep. But fate had planned something else for him that night. At first he thought it was only the wind, a strange cry carried through the storm. But as he paused and listened, the sound grew clearer. It was high-pitched, desperate, like a baby wailing for its mother. His heart stopped. Nobody could survive. In that raging water, could it be an animal or a child? Daniel ran to the side of the bridge, clutching the wooden rail. His eyes searched the raging water below, and then he saw it. A small glowing bundle was trapped between broken branches, being dragged by the violent current. It was not just glowing, it shimmered with strange light, shifting between blue and silver. God, no, Daniel whispered. Without another thought, he jumped. The cold river swallowed him whole, pulling him under. He kicked hard, fighting the current, arms burning as he pushed through water that wanted to drown him. The cries grew louder in his ears, guiding him. He reached the bundle, fingers shaking as he grabbed it before the water could take it away. He pulled it against his chest, the bundle warm despite the icy water. He felt small fingers curl around his shirt, tiny but strong. Daniel's heart pounded. This was no ordinary baby. Its skin glowed faintly even through the wet cloth. Its eyes opened, bright, luminous, not human but filled with fear. With the baby tight against him, Daniel fought the river back. His body slammed into rocks, his lungs screamed for air. He clawed his way to the riverbank, mud sliding under his hands. Finally, he rolled onto the ground, gasping, water pouring from his clothes. The baby whimpered softly, glowing faintly like a fragile lantern in the night. Daniel lay on the ground, staring at the child. His mind raced. An alien. It had to be. Nothing human looked like this. Its skin was pale with faint silver lines like patterns that shifted with light. Its small eyes glowed faint blue, tears shimmering. The storm raged above them, but Daniel felt frozen in place. What should he do? Call for help? Run to the authorities? No. If others found out, they might not show kindness. He had seen how people reacted to anything strange, anything unknown. They would not protect the child. They would fear it, maybe even hurt it. The baby clutched tighter to him, tiny, glowing. Hands pressing against his chest, it made a small sound, not like human words, but filled with need and trust. Daniel felt something shift inside him. He could not abandon this child no matter what it was. He wrapped the baby in his wet coat, holding it close to his chest. His cabin was not far. He would take it there, at least until he understood what was happening. He forced himself to his feet, legs heavy, and began the slow walk through the muddy path. The forest was silent except for the storm, but Daniel could not shake the feeling of eyes on him. The trees creaked in the wind, shadows moved between them. He kept glancing back, expecting someone or something to appear, but there was nothing, only darkness. When he finally reached his cabin, he pushed the door open and stepped inside. Lighting a fire, he placed the baby on a blanket near the warmth. The small creature stopped crying, tiny chest rising and falling as it breathed softly. Its glow dimmed, peaceful now, as if it finally felt safe. Daniel sat beside it, staring at the flames, his mind spun in circles. He had just pulled an alien child from a river. He did not know where it came from or why it was alone. But one thing he knew for certain. The moment he looked into its glowing eyes, he had made a choice. He would protect it no matter the cost. Outside, thunder rolled again and far away. In the shadow of the forest, two figures moved silently, their glowing eyes cut through the storm, watching the little cabin, where the human had carried the child. They did not come closer, not yet, but their presence lingered, like a promise of what was to come. The storm might end, but Daniel's night of peace had only just begun. The storm faded by morning, but Daniel did not sleep that night. He sat near the fire with the strange baby wrapped in blankets. His eyes burned with exhaustion, but every time he tried to close them, the child's glow pulled him back. It was not just a glow of light. It was alive, shifting gently, like silver waves moving under the skin. Sometimes the glow brightened when the baby stirred. Sometimes it dimmed when the baby slept. Daniel could not understand it, but he could not look away either. He leaned closer, studying the child's face. Its eyes had opened once during the night, glowing pale blue like the river itself. The way it stared at him, it was not the look of a creature. It was the gaze of something intelligent, something aware, that frightened him more than the storm had. "What are you, little one?" he whispered. His voice cracked, half in fear, half in wonder. The baby answered, only with a soft coo, its small hands reaching for his shirt again, gripping him with surprising strength. Daniel sighed, pressing a hand to his forehead. He was just a man, a worker with no family, no wealth, and no power. Yet here he was, holding something that clearly did not belong to this world. He thought of the town down the road, the guards at the checkpoint, the government officials who always asked too many questions. If they saw this child, they would take it away in a heartbeat. They would call it dangerous, they would lock it up, study it, maybe worse. Daniel looked at the baby, so small, so fragile. Could he let that happen? No. Not while it trusted him enough to sleep peacefully in his care. He decided, at least for now, to keep it hidden. Daniel spent the morning preparing. He dried the child's blankets by the fire, fed it drops of warm milk from a rag, and built a small bed out of spare cloth near the hearth. The baby seemed to understand. Its glow softened. Its cries turned into gentle breaths. At times, when Daniel leaned too close, the child's glow flickered brighter, like it recognized him as safe. But even as he worked, Daniel's ears caught strange sounds outside. The forest was too quiet. Birds did not sing and animals did not move. It felt as if something watched from the trees, waiting. He checked the window more than once, pushing the curtain aside. The path outside his cabin was empty, the wood still damp from the storm, yet the feeling stayed thick as smoke in his chest. By evening, Daniel had almost convinced himself he was imagining things. He ate a small meal of bread and dried meat, keeping one eye on the child. When he broke the bread in half, he paused. The baby was staring at him, its glowing eyes unblinking. Its little mouth opened in a faint whimper. Daniel chuckled nervously. "You're hungry too, huh?" He hesitated, then dipped a piece of bread into warm milk, softening it until it nearly melted. He held it near the baby's lips. To his surprise, the child accepted it, swallowing with eagerness. It cooed softly, glow pulsing brighter as if, in joy. Daniel's chest tightened. A strange warmth filled him. He had not cared for anyone like this in years. He had been alone too long, and now this small alien child had made his cabin feel less empty. But the peace did not last long. That night, as the fire burned low, Daniel sat in his chair, half asleep, when a sound broke the silence. A knock, sharp and heavy, rattled the wooden door. His eyes snapped open. His hand went to the axe by the wall. Another knock followed, louder, impatient. The baby stirred in, its blankets, its glow flickering as if it sensed danger. Daniel rose slowly, heart pounding. No one came this far into the woods, not at night, not in storms. He moved to the door, pressing his ear against it. He heard faint whispers, voices, not like human ones, soft but carrying strange tones. He swallowed, tightened his grip on the axe, and opened the door just a crack. Two figures stood in the darkness, tall and cloaked. Their faces were shadowed, but their eyes glowed faintly, just like the child's. Rain dripped from their clothes, though the storm had ended. Their presence filled the air with heavy silence. One of them stepped forward, her voice low but sharp. "You have something of ours." Daniel froze. His eyes darted to the baby behind him, still glowing faintly on the blanket. His breath caught in his throat. The women's eyes followed his glance, and their gazes sharpened. The second woman lifted her hood, revealing pale skin marked with silver lines, just like the child's. Her voice was softer but heavy with urgency. Give us the child, human. It is not yours to keep. Daniel's knuckles turned white around the axe handle. His mind screamed with questions. Who were they? Mothers? Warriors? Hunters? His instincts told him one thing. If he handed the baby over without knowing the truth, he might regret it forever. No, Daniel said, his voice shaking but firm. Not until you tell me who you are, and what this child really is. The first woman's eyes glowed brighter, her hand lifting, light sparking faintly in her palm. It was no ordinary gesture, it was a warning. The baby cried, the glow in its skin flaring. The fire flickered as if responding. The room felt suddenly smaller, trapped between two forces. Daniel's fear and the women's demand. Outside, the forest was no longer silent. Footsteps rustled through the undergrowth. Too many, too close. Something or someone else was coming, and Daniel realized the night had only just begun. The baby's cry echoed inside the small wooden cabin, soft but trembling. Daniel's grip on the axe tightened. His chest rose and fell quickly. His mind raced. The two cloaked women at the door were not ordinary travelers. Their glowing eyes, their strange voices, and the way the baby's glow answered theirs, it all told him one thing: they were connected. The taller woman stepped forward again, her eyes fixed on the child. Give it to us, she said firmly. Her hand was raised, faint blue sparks flickering around her fingers. Daniel held the axe higher, his voice low but steady. Not until you explain. Who are you? Why was this child in the river? Why should I trust you? The second woman pulled down her hood, fully revealing her face. Her features were sharp but strangely beautiful. Her skin shimmered with faint silver markings that moved like living tattoos. Her eyes softened as she looked past Daniel at the child. It is ours by blood, human. The baby belongs to our people. Daniel turned to glance at the baby. It had stopped crying. Its glowing eyes were wide, watching the two women. A small hand stretched out toward them. Trembling but eager, Daniel's chest tightened. Did the child recognize them? Then why was it drowning? Daniel asked, his voice breaking through the tension. Why was it left alone in the river? The taller woman's jaw clenched. She lowered her glowing hand, but her tone was sharp. We were attacked. We tried to keep it safe, but our enemies are many. The child was taken from us. It should not have been left behind. We came to reclaim it. Her words sounded true, but Daniel felt a heavy weight in his stomach. Something about their sudden appearance in the storm, the timing, the way they demanded without explaining, it left him uneasy. The baby let out a small whimper. Daniel looked back and saw it glowing, brighter, almost as if it was answering them. The fire in the hearth flickered, shadows dancing across the walls. The softer woman stepped forward slowly, raising her empty hands. Please, human, we are not here to harm you. We only want what is ours. The child is not safe with you. More will come for it, more dangerous than us. Her words chilled him. More will come. As if on cue, Daniel's ears caught the sound of movement outside again. This time it was clearer. Leaves rustling, twigs snapping, footsteps circling the cabin. His body stiffened. He turned toward the window, but the darkness outside gave nothing back. The taller woman also heard it. Her glowing eyes flickered. She stepped back, her hand tightening around the edge of her cloak. They've found us, she whispered. Daniel's heart sank. Who? Neither answered, but the look in their eyes told him enough. Whoever was out there was not a friend. Suddenly, a loud thud struck the cabin wall. The baby cried again. Its glow burst brighter, filling the small room with a soft blue light. Daniel grabbed the child quickly, holding it against his chest. His axe was still in his other hand, sweat dripping from his forehead. The two women exchanged a glance, their expressions tense. The taller one spoke fast. You have a choice, human. Trust us, or stay here and die when they break in. Daniel's throat went dry. He looked down at the small glowing child in his arms. The baby's tiny fingers curled into his shirt again, clinging as if begging him not to let go. The sound outside grew louder, footsteps all around now, circling the cabin like wolves. Daniel could hear faint growls. Not human, not natural. His heart pounded against his ribs. He looked at the women again. Their eyes glowed, their cloaks dripping water on his wooden floor. Their presence was strange, otherworldly, and dangerous. But outside, something worse waited. The door rattled suddenly, as if something slammed against it. Dust fell from the ceiling. The baby screamed louder. Daniel's instincts screamed louder. Still, the taller woman extended her glowing hand again, but this time not in threat. In her voice was urgency. Choose now. Daniel clenched his jaw. His mind told him not to trust them, but his heart knew he could not fight what lurked outside alone. He took a sharp breath, nodded once. Fine. But you move one wrong step, and you'll regret it. The women both lowered their heads slightly, acknowledging his warning. The baby calmed a little in Daniel's arms. Its glow dimmed to a soft pulse. The women stepped inside, closing the door behind them. The cabin grew crowded with tension, firelight flickering across strange faces. For a moment, silence. Only the sound of rain dripping from their cloaks and the faint crackle of fire. Then, a voice hissed outside the cabin, low and rough, speaking, in a language Daniel did not understand. The baby shivered against him, its glow responding with a faint flicker. The two women exchanged another sharp look. The softer one whispered, "Hunters." The taller one's hand burned brighter. "They know the child is here." Daniel's knuckles turned white on the axe handle. His eyes flicked between the door, the baby, and the women. His chest heaved as he whispered, "What do they want with it?" The softer woman's gaze fell on the child, her voice heavy. "The same thing we do, but only one of us wants it alive." The door shook violently. Wood cracked under the force. Shadows moved outside the windows. Daniel's blood ran cold. The night was no longer about choices, it was about survival. The wooden door groaned under the weight of heavy blows. Each strike shook the cabin walls, dust falling from the ceiling. Daniel tightened his grip on the axe, sweat dripping down his temples. The baby in his arms trembled, its glow flickering like a lantern fighting against the dark. The two alien women stood close now, their cloaks dripping water on the wooden floor. The taller one pressed her hand against the wall, faint blue light spreading from her palm like cracks of lightning. "The barrier will hold for a little while," she whispered, "but not long." Daniel's voice was harsh, his throat dry. "I want answers right now." He pointed the axe toward them, his arm shaking. "Who are you? What is this child? Why are hunters after it?" The women exchanged a glance, hesitation clear in their glowing eyes. Finally, the softer one stepped forward, her face half lit by the fire. "The child is no ordinary one, human. It carries the blood of the highest line of our people. It is royal." Daniel blinked, shocked. He looked down at the baby in his arms, so small, so fragile he could hardly believe it. "Royal? You're telling me this glowing little thing is a prince or a princess?" "Yes," the woman said, her voice calm but urgent. "The child is the last of a bloodline, and that bloodline is worth more than entire worlds to those who hunt it." The taller woman added sharply, "That is why we cannot leave it with you. Your world does not know what danger circles it now. If they find the child here, your people will suffer." Daniel's mind spun. His chest tightened. He stared at the baby. Its tiny fingers clutched his shirt again, glowing faintly. How could something so innocent carry such a heavy destiny? Outside, another crash shook the cabin. The hunters were not giving up. Growls echoed through the night, low and guttural. Daniel's heart pounded faster. He forced himself to focus. "You still haven't told me the truth," he said, his voice rough. "If it's royal, then where is its family? Why was it alone in the river?" The softer woman's gaze fell to the ground, her voice trembling. "We were betrayed. The child's guards were slaughtered. We fought to protect it, but we were too late. It was torn from us and cast into the river to drown." Her glowing eyes lifted, filled with sorrow. "Had you not found it, the royal line of our people would have ended tonight." Her words hit Daniel like a blade. He looked at the child again. His arms tightened protectively around it. He thought of the storm, the glowing bundle, the tiny cry in the dark. If he had walked faster, if he had chosen a different path, the baby would be gone. The taller woman's eyes narrowed. We cannot. Waste time, human. Hand the child over. It belongs with us, not you. Daniel shook his head firmly. Not until I know I can trust you. For all I know, you're no different than the ones outside. The woman's eyes blazed with light, her hand raising as if to strike, but before she could, the baby let out a sudden cry. Its glow flared so bright that the fire itself dimmed. The sound was piercing, desperate, and to Daniel's shock, the baby reached one trembling hand toward the softer woman. The woman gasped softly, her eyes widening. She stepped closer, tears rising in her glowing gaze. It remembers me, she whispered. It knows its kin. Daniel's chest tightened. He wanted to believe her. He wanted to trust. But the pounding outside grew louder. Shadows passed over the window, claws scraping against the wood. The hunters were seconds from breaking in. The taller woman lowered her hand slowly, her voice harsh but restrained. Human, believe us or not, you will not survive this night alone. You must choose. Give us the child, or fight beside us. Daniel felt trapped. His lungs burned with every breath. He looked at the baby's glowing eyes, then back at the women. His mind screamed with doubt, but his heart whispered something else. He had already chosen when he jumped into the river. He could not abandon the child now. I'll fight, Daniel said, his voice low but firm. But the baby stays with me. I don't care if it's royal. I don't care if it's yours. I'm the one who saved it. I'm the one it trusts. Until I see for myself that you are not lying, I'll protect it with my life. The taller woman's jaw tightened, anger flashing in her glowing eyes. But the softer one placed a hand on her arm, stopping her. Let him, she said gently. The child has already chosen. Outside, the cabin door cracked, wood splintering under the force. A shadow passed across the firelight, growls filling the night air. The taller woman drew her hand back, light blazing from her palm. The softer woman's silver markings glowed. Brighter, Daniel lifted his axe, shifting the baby against his chest. The door shuttered again, nearly breaking. The baby's glow burst outward, filling the cabin with light like dawn. Daniel's heart pounded, his jaw clenched. He whispered through his teeth, "Then let them come." And with a deafening crash, the hunters struck again. The cabin door exploded, inward with a roar of splintering wood. Cold night air rushed inside, carrying the stench of wet soil and blood. Daniel staggered back, clutching the glowing baby tight against his chest. His axe was raised, knuckles white, through the broken doorway. Shadows poured in, not human, but twisted shapes. Their eyes glowed red in the dark, their bodies lean and armored with rough plates of bone. They growled low, like hungry beasts. Their weapons gleamed faintly, blades that looked alive with pulsing veins of light. The baby cried loudly, its glow flaring. The sound seemed to drive the hunters wild. They howled as one and surged forward. The taller alien woman lifted her hand, light bursting from her palm. A wave of force knocked the first two hunters back, slamming them against the wall with a sickening crack. The softer woman drew a curved blade from under her cloak, silver markings across her skin burning brighter as she met the attackers head-on. Daniel's chest pounded. He had no glowing weapons, no strange powers, but he had his axe and he had something more. Desperation. He kicked over the table, creating a barrier, then swung hard as a hunter leapt over it. The blade of his axe sank deep into the creature's shoulder. Black ichor. Spraying! The hunter shrieked, but Daniel yanked the axe free and struck again. The cabin shook with chaos. Firelight danced against walls splattered with alien blood. The hunters moved fast, but so did the two women. The taller one sent blasts of light crashing into them, shattering armor. The softer one fought with precision, her blade flashing like silver lightning. Every strike of hers was lethal, clean, controlled. Daniel fought clumsily beside them. But he fought with heart. He swung, blocked, shoved, his body fueled by the need to protect the small life clinging to him. The baby's glow pulsed with every strike, as if its heartbeat was tied to the battle. One hunter slammed into Daniel. Knocking him against the wall, his axe nearly slipped from his grip. The baby wailed, its glow bursting outward in a blinding flash. The hunter screamed and clawed at its eyes. Daniel roared and buried his axe into its chest. The creature crumpled. "At his feet, behind you," the softer woman shouted. Daniel turned just in time to see another hunter lunging, teeth bared. But before it reached him, a spear of blue light shot from the taller woman's hand, piercing the attacker through the chest. It collapsed in smoke, and Ash Moore came, crawling through the broken windows, claws tearing at the wood. The small cabin was barely holding against the storm of enemies. The roof shook as one massive hunter leapt down from the trees and crashed through the beams. The walls cracked, dust raining from above. Daniel's heart raced. He knew the cabin would not survive much longer. He looked at the baby, then at the women. "We can't stay here," he shouted over the chaos. The taller woman gritted her teeth, light burning in her eyes. "Then we run." The softer one slashed another hunter down, her face hard. "Through the forest, we must reach the cliffs before dawn." The words barely left her mouth when the largest hunter crashed through the wreckage, towering over the others. Its body was covered in jagged bone plates, its claws long and dripping. It let out a roar that shook the walls. The fire almost died from the force of its scream. Daniel backed away, holding the baby close. The child's glow flared again, brighter, sharper, almost blinding. The giant hunter hesitated for a moment, its red eyes narrowing in fear. The taller woman seized the moment, blasting it with a wave of energy. The creature stumbled back, but it did not fall. Instead, it slammed its claws into the floor, tearing through the wood as if it were paper. The cabin gave one final groan, beams snapping. The roof began to collapse, smoke, dust, and fire filled the air. "Move," the softer woman cried. She grabbed Daniel's arm, pulling him toward the shattered doorway. The taller woman covered their retreat, sending another burst of light into the crowd of hunters. Daniel clutched the baby to his chest, his axe swinging wildly to clear a path. He stumbled through the broken doorway into the cold night. The forest loomed ahead, dark and wet. The cries of hunters echoed behind them, chasing through the collapsing cabin. The baby whimpered softly now, its glow steady but dim, its tiny hand pressed against Daniel's chest as if it knew he would not let go. He ran with the women beside him, their cloaks whipping in the wind. Behind them, the cabin collapsed completely, flames rising into the night sky. The hunters howled in fury, their red eyes burning as they spilled into the forest. Branches whipped against Daniel's face, roots caught his boots. But he did not slow. Every step was a fight to stay ahead. Every breath was fire in his lungs, but he kept running, because stopping meant death. The softer woman's blade flashed as she cut down a hunter that leapt from the trees. The taller one's hands burned with light, striking enemies before they could close in. Daniel swung his axe whenever one broke through, his arms aching, his body screaming for rest, but he would not stop. Not while the child still breathed against him. At last, they broke through the thicker woods into a clearing. Moonlight spilled. Across wet grass, the forest stretched wide ahead, and in the distance, the faint line of cliffs could be seen under the pale light. Daniel collapsed to his knees for a moment. Gasping for breath, the baby stirred weakly, glowing faintly in his arms. The women stopped beside him, their faces grim. This was only the beginning. The taller woman said, her voice sharp. "The hunters will not stop. They will chase until the child is dead or reclaimed." Daniel wiped sweat and blood from his brow. His chest still heaving, he looked down at the baby, then back at the women. His voice was rough but steady. "Then we keep running, because I'm not letting go." Behind them, the forest shook. With the sound of pursuit, the hunters were not far. The night was not over and the chase had only just begun. The forest was alive with danger. The sound of hunters echoed through the trees. Low growls, snapping branches, heavy footsteps that shook the ground. Daniel's lungs burned as he ran, the baby pressed tight against his chest. The child's glow pulsed faintly, guiding him through the dark like a fragile lantern. The two alien women ran beside him, their cloaks whipping in the wind. The taller one's hands burned with faint blue light, ready to strike. The softer one's silver-marked face was focused, her blade dripping with the black ichor of fallen hunters. Every step they took was a step deeper into a nightmare. The forest stretched endless before them, wet leaves sticking to Daniel's skin. Mud sucked at his boots. Every sound felt too loud. Every breath felt like it would give them away. But the hunters did not need sound. They could smell the babies. Strange glow. They were closing in faster, the taller woman hissed, glancing back. Her glowing eyes burned with urgency. They are close. Daniel's legs ached, his arms trembled from holding the baby so tight, but he pushed forward. His mind screamed at him to drop the child, to save himself. But his heart would not allow. The small creature had trusted him, clung to him, and he would not betray that trust. Suddenly a hunter dropped from the branches above, claws outstretched. Daniel barely had time to react. He swung his axe upward, the blade catching the creature under the jaw. The strike split its throat, black blood spraying across the leaves. The beast howled and collapsed. The softer woman pulled Daniel forward, her voice sharp. "Don't stop!" They ran again, but the hunters were clever. They moved like wolves, circling, driving their prey toward a trap. Daniel could hear them on both sides now, their growls, mixing with the pounding of his heart. The baby whimpered softly, its glow flaring. Daniel looked down, whispering through clenched teeth, "Stay with me, little one. Just stay with me." The trees began to thin. The forest floor sloped upward, and Daniel realized they were climbing. Ahead, moonlight spilled across jagged rocks, and beyond them, the edge of the cliff. The softer woman shouted, "The cliffs! If we can reach the high ground, we can make a stand." But the hunters knew too. Their growls grew louder, their shapes flickering in the shadows. Red eyes glowed between the trees. Dozens of them, maybe more. Daniel stumbled, his foot catching. On a root, he fell hard to one knee, almost dropping the baby. Pain shot up his leg. The child cried, its glow pulsing wildly. The hunters howled at the sound, closing in faster. The taller woman spun, sending a wave of blue energy crashing into the trees. Several hunters flew back, smashing against trunks, but more replaced them, their claws tearing into the earth. Daniel forced himself up, his legs screaming in pain. He gritted his teeth. "I'm not letting go." He limped forward, every step agony, but every step closer to the cliff. The softer woman cut down another attacker, then moved to his side. She placed a hand on his shoulder, pushing him forward. Her voice was steady despite the chaos. "Do not stop, human. The child needs you." Her words gave him strength he didn't know he had. He staggered faster, dragging his body toward the rocky path ahead. The baby quieted, its glow steady, almost as if it understood his struggle. At last they reached the base of the cliff. The rocks were slick with rain, jagged and sharp. Daniel looked up and felt despair. The climb was steep, almost impossible with the child in his arms behind them. The hunters emerged from the trees, red eyes glowing like fireflies in the night. They spread out, surrounding the clearing. Their growls rumbled through the air like thunder. The taller woman raised her glowing hands, shouting, "Go, I'll hold them back." Daniel shook his head, panic rising. "You can't fight them all." She glared at him, her eyes blazing. "I do not need to fight them all. Only long enough for you to climb." The softer woman grabbed Daniel's arm, pulling him toward the cliff face. "She is right, we have no choice." Daniel looked back once more. The taller woman stood tall in the clearing, light blazing from her hands like a beacon. The hunters snarled, circling, preparing to strike. With a heavy heart, Daniel turned to the rocks. He placed the baby carefully against his chest, tightening the blanket around it, then gripped the wet stone with his free hand. His axe hung at his side, ready if needed. He climbed, slowly at first, his muscles burning. The softer woman climbed beside him with ease, her silver markings glowing faintly in the dark. She glanced back at him, her voice firm. "Do not look down. Do not stop." But Daniel did look down. Just once, the clearing below burned with light and chaos. The taller woman fought like a storm, energy blasting from her hands, tearing hunters apart. But they kept coming, more and more. Surrounding her, closing in, Daniel's chest ached. His grip on the rock tightened. He forced his eyes upward, climbing faster. The baby whimpered softly but then pressed its tiny hand against his chest, its glow steady. Daniel whispered, breathless, "I'll get you out. I swear it." The softer woman reached the top first. Pulling herself onto the ledge, she turned and extended her hand to Daniel. Give me the child." Daniel hesitated, his muscles straining, but he trusted her. He carefully lifted the baby toward her. She took it gently, cradling it with care, its glow reflected in her eyes, filling them with something close to sorrow. With the child safe in her arms, Daniel climbed the last stretch, pulling himself onto the rocky ledge. His body collapsed against the cold stone, lungs burning. Below, the taller woman's light flickered, her cries echoed through the forest. Then, silence. Daniel's eyes widened. He crawled to the edge of the cliff. Hunters swarmed the clearing, but the woman was gone. Only smoke and shattered ground remained where she had stood. The softer woman clutched the baby tightly, her face pale, her silver markings dimmed. She whispered, voice trembling, "She gave her life for us." Daniel's throat tightened. He stared at the child, at the hunters below, at the endless night. His heart felt heavy with both grief and fury. And as the hunters began to climb the cliff after them, he realized this fight was far from over. The first gray light of dawn touched the horizon, faint and cold. Daniel lay flat on the rocky ledge, his chest heaving, his muscles aching from the climb. The forest below was alive with the growls of hunters, red eyes flickering between the trees like embers. The softer woman stood near him, holding the glowing child close. Her face was pale, her silver markings dimmed after the night of battle. She stared at the edge of the cliff, her expression heavy. Behind her, the baby whimpered softly, glowing faintly in her arms. Daniel sat up slowly, gripping his axe, though his hands shook. He looked at her and said, "She didn't make it." His voice cracked. The memory of the taller woman fighting alone in the clearing burned in his mind. The softer woman lowered her head. "She gave her life so we could escape, that is her honor." Daniel's throat tightened. He clenched his fists. His chest was heavy with guilt. He had not asked for this fight, yet someone had died for him, and for a child that was not even his. He glanced at the baby, its small glowing eyes blinking up at him, and still, he could not let it go. The growls below grew louder. The hunters were climbing now, their claws scraping rock, their bodies moving fast toward the ledge. Daniel stood shakily, his axe raised. "They're not stopping. They'll come until one of us is dead." The woman turned to him, her silver eyes sharp. "That is why you must decide, human." He frowned, confused. "Decide what?" She stepped closer, the child between them. "The baby is royal. If you keep it, the hunters will never stop chasing you. They will burn your towns, they will tear through your world until they find it." She paused, her voice breaking. "But if you give it to me, I can take it away, I can vanish into the stars with it. The hunters will follow me, not you." Daniel's chest tightened. His heart pounded. He stared at the child, its glow warm and soft against the cold morning air. It reached one tiny hand toward him, fingers curling as if to hold on to him. He felt torn in two. His mind screamed that the woman was right. He could not fight forever. He was only a man. He had no glowing powers, no hidden strength. His world was not ready for this war, but his heart whispered something else, a voice stronger than reason. He had pulled this child from the river with his own hands. He had fed it, warmed it, carried it through the night. It trusted him, and he had sworn to protect it. The hunters climbed higher, their claws scraping closer, their growls echoed up the cliff face. The woman's voice was urgent now. "Decide, Daniel. If you choose to protect the child, you are binding your life to it. You will face war. You will bring danger upon yourself and your people. But if you give it to me, you can walk away. Free." Daniel's knuckles turned white on the axe handle. He looked at the baby one last time. Its glowing eyes locked onto his, innocent yet filled with something more, as if it understood the weight of this moment. The sun broke the horizon, golden light spilling across the cliff. The baby glowed brighter. In the dawn, its light rising like a second sun. The hunters hesitated below, their red eyes flickering with fear. The glow of the child pushed them back, its power far greater than they had expected. Daniel's decision came in a single breath. He stepped forward, his voice steady. "No, I'm not giving it up. It stays. With me, the woman's eyes widened, shock and sorrow mixing in her gaze. You would risk everything, even your world? Daniel nodded, his voice firm. Because this child isn't just royal, it's alive, it's innocent, it's mine now, I won't let anyone hurt it. Not them, not you, not anyone. The baby cooed softly, its glow flaring warmly as if answering his vow. The hunters shrieked in fury, climbing faster, but as the sun rose higher, the child's glow became blinding. A wave of light burst outward, washing over the cliff. The hunters howled. Their bodies burning under the radiant power, one by one they fell back, tumbling into the forest below, their red eyes snuffed out like dying embers. Silence followed. The forest was still again, only. The wind carried through the trees. Daniel lowered his axe slowly, his arms trembling. He looked at the child in his arms, glowing peacefully now, and whispered, "It's over." But the woman shook her head, her eyes grave. "No, human. This is only the beginning. The hunters were just the first wave. Others will come, greater and stronger. The child's light will call to them no matter where you hide." Daniel looked at her, then back at the horizon. His heart was heavy, but his voice was steady. "Then let them come. I'll be ready." The baby stirred in his arms, resting its small head against his chest. Its glow softened to a gentle warmth. The morning sun bathed them in gold, and as Daniel stood on the cliff with the child in his arms, the woman's warning echoed in his mind. This was no end. This was the first step of something far greater. The galaxy had begun to notice, and a simple human with an axe had just chosen to stand against it.